The biggest difference between playing with my band and creating tracks solo is that there's a multitude of different directions and perspectives the song can go. So I started off this track by looking for a drum loop that was easy to jam to and had a nice groove. Next, I wanted a spacey, droned-out guitar to fill in the space between the drum hits. I used my pretty seafoam green, made in Mexico Strat on this one. For the bass line, I brought out my Stingray bass and decided to play something syncopated and around the beat. I like using my palm to palm mute the notes on my bass to make the notes quick and fast. I threw in some extra synth pads using my Yamaha. There are a few hardware synths I like to keep, mainly because I like to mess around with them, and they're typically pretty cheap. To top it all off, I layered some reverberated vocals over the mix to make the song come together. Lastly, I need something to fill in the melody. And there's no better instrument to use for that than a xylophone. I use this a lot for whenever I have trouble coming up with a melody for my songs. I started with my first full-length Hypnophobia in 2014 with a total of 11 songs. It was then I decided the project needed a band to help bring a live sound to the album. I found my drummer, Austin, on Craigslist of all places. We became good buddies after that. Then I brought along James on bass and Miles on saxophone. We started off doing gigs pretty slowly, maybe one every few months. But once we started picking up traction, we were getting pretty close to about 2 gigs a month. I cannot understate how bummed all of us were once we heard everything was going to shut down. Luckily, we got one show in Oakland at the end of February before everything got serious. But we actually had at least 7 shows lined up in March all the way up till June, including 2 radio shows. I was also planning on releasing a new album, but without the ability to play shows, I was a bit hesitant and decided that maybe next year would be best.
Being a musician that's been playing with other people in a band setting for 20 years and then suddenly not being able to do that is very much a shock, just in terms of my own habits and lifestyle, but then just in terms of fulfillment, just because it feels so good to be in a band. It felt like there was a void that was there. But I also felt like it wasn't going to last as long as it has. So I think that was the other part. It was like this duality of like, oh, that's a bummer that we're not able to link up. But this should like pass, within a couple months. We should be good.
There was so much on my plate, I think, at that point, because I was already having kind of a challenging time, like trying to balance this dedication to playing with Fashionista Boyfriend and also staying committed to like working full time and like taking care of the kids at home and stuff like that, and maintaining a relationship and a home and all that stuff, In some ways it was kind of, I don't want to say a relief because that almost makes light of like a bad situation, but there were some blessings in disguise there. I think it's been kind of nice for me to have that space, and I think that in the back of my mind I was craving that and not feel like it was over, but feel like there was gonna be like this hiatus. It just kind of created this space for me to feel more like I want to do it. Like I miss it more now, and so I feel more like when it comes about that we can like play and go out and do stuff, I think I'll feel more excited about it than I had previously.
I felt, like I was losing a part of myself in a sense. The music with Fashionista Boyfriend has been incredible. on another level with my education, it was a little bit of a breath to be able to refocus on that. But of course, not being able to be around the community of musicians has also been tough.
Thankfully, my band and I are all good dudes and get along with each other just fine. We all have some sort of affinity for jazz, which makes jamming together just so special. We love it so much that sometimes after a show, we'll just make something up on a whim, and I think people like it since they stick around. Eventually, I want to be at a place where I don't have to stress so much on getting people to show up to our shows or on getting the proper exposure. I also want to expand on our live shows, such as lighting, more exciting visuals, and start working on more songs to play together as a band. And, of course, more saxophone solos, because why not?
Once the pandemic hit and once we were in isolation, it really caused me to reflect on like my own artistry and like my own expression. And like, so when I do go to these different environments, how can I bring the meest me there? How can I be as genuine as possible and express myself in the most genuine way possible? In order to do that, I got to get to know myself musically. So like, it's allowed me to kind of go in that cocoon, so to speak, and like really get in tune with like, well, what do I like? What feels good for me, and why? Let's explore that.
In this effort to reconnect with music and be like, okay, like, so I'm not playing my drums, and it like had me in this big like deep mood about it, you know, like, oh, I'm separated from like my heart and soul, and I'm like, I'm never gonna get back to like this place that I want to get to. And I had kind of like an aha moment where I was like, music's supposed to be lighthearted, at least in some degree. There should just be like joy without, you know, just a guilt-free joy of enjoying music.
You know, there were periods in my life where I kind of set it down for a little while, but I've always ended up picking it back up and going stronger.
I think it's always important to have fun doing what you love, no matter how you go about it. I would say it's almost a necessity that if you're just starting out, you can't be a perfectionist or else you'll never be happy with what you're doing. I think one of the best ways to keep your sanity in these weird times is to always stay creative, even if you're not in the mood. Whether your outlet is through music or through other things like drawing or photography, it's important to be active and always keep yourself busy.
It's kind of like, how do we want to live our legacy? If this is our life and it is short and it is going to end at some point, how do we want to like create that? How do we want to feel with this limited amount of time that we have? And so my best thing would be like, get in tune with self and honor that unapologetically.
Reach out to your other musician friends and play. Don't lose hope. And, you know, we're all going to get through this pandemic time at some point. But until then, keep reaching out to your friends and keep trying to collaborate.